Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new 2017 Honda CR-V. With revamped cargo space, it's the biggest van yet.
Welcome to Rogers Center on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is the final game in this three-game series against Minnesota. Joe Biagini is back from AAA. He made 4 minor league starts. This will be his 12th start of his major league career. They made some mechanical issues. They changed his delivery a little bit. He will pitch out of the windup this afternoon, and he will be the 7th starter in the last 8 games for the Blue Jays. This field level action cam is brought to you by the Samsung Galaxy S8. Unbox your phone. So the Twins won the opener. They came back in last night's game, but they fell a run shy as they lost 10-9 in that game. Paul Molitor in his 3rd season as the skipper of the Minnesota Twins. Of course, he had a great 3-year run as a Blue Jay player in the 90s. Take a look at the lineup for Minnesota. Top of the order is Brian Dozier, the great second baseman. Over his last 11 games, he's hit .342 with a double, 3 home runs and 7 RBIs. Jorge Polanco in the 3rd spot. Polanco in this series, 4 for 9, a couple of doubles and 2 RBIs, and Molitor has used him in that 3rd spot for 2 of these 3 games in this series.
They will go up against Joe Biagini, who returns to the starting rotation this afternoon. He began the season in the bullpen, pressed into the starting role because of injuries in that rotation, then back to the bullpen. He was optioned to AAA, where he went 1-1 in those 4 starts as they stretched him out just a little bit more. He's 2-7 overall in 11 starts with the Jays, 1-1 with a .426 ERA and 26 relief appearances. For his career versus Minnesota, he's only faced him as a reliever, and that was twice last season.
So Genie, with his nickname on the back, will start the ball game, and he's pitching out of the windup. Here's the first pitch of the game. It is upstairs right at the top of the strike zone. Strike 1, and we are underway. Another great crowd on hand here this afternoon. Biagini is 27 years old. He was a Rule 5 pickup from the San Francisco Giants organization. Ground ball off the end of the bat. Goins fires the first. Dozier's retired, 1 away. Defensively, Blue Jays have a little bit different look today. They've got Aoki in right, Carrera in center, Goins and Marnie up the middle. Montero makes his 16th start behind the plate.
Day off for Kevin Pillar in center field, so Ezequiel Carrera will make his 8th start out there. They've had 5 different players play some of the innings out in center field. 3 other players have played a total of 9 innings, so it's basically been Pillar and everybody else. Zeke gets the call this afternoon on a very sunny day today.
Of course, the fly ball is always a challenge here at Rogers Center in the afternoon. How about Joe Mauer? 2 3-hit games so far in this series. Takes that pitch down and away. Mauer rarely swings at the first pitch. He has offered at just 7% of the first pitches he has seen this season.
So no sense going ahead and trying to sink the ball or cut the ball or throw a breaking ball. Throw a fastball right down the middle.
There's a strike on the outside corner. It's 1-1 to Mauer.
Now, if you're thinking about Joe Biagini, well, I only know him as a reliever. He was a starter down in the minor leagues before he came to the Blue Jays. In fact, he had a couple of seasons where he threw about 130 innings in both of those seasons, 2014 and 2015.
Guess what? Joe Mauer has another hit. That's his 7th hit in the 3-game series as Mauer gets one through the shortstop hole. Mauer's creeping closer and closer to 300.
Getting closer and closer to 2,000 hits. That's now 53 away from 2,000 hits. Sinker down and away, and a typical Mauer swing. Just go with it. I don't know why the Blue Jays, they are playing him in the shift area. This guy hits the ball from foul line to foul line.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So a 1-out single. This is Jorge Polanco. We mentioned his good series. He's 4 for 9 in his series. Pair of doubles, and he's driven home 2. Polanco 1 for 5 in the game yesterday. He hit 5th in the opener. Had a 2-run double in the 3rd in a 3-hit game. That was on Friday night. Right on the inside corner.
You know, when we watched Joe as he became a starter, it looked like he got worn down and the more he pitched this season. Again, he was just a reliever last year, was a reliever at the beginning of this year, but then as he got more innings under his belt, it just looked like he wore down. His fastball looks like it's got some more hop to it.
Well, you mentioned he made 11 starts from May to July 2nd. Then they put him back in the bullpen. And he didn't pitch that well out of the bullpen when they put him back. So you know what? Spring training is 7-8 weeks long, so the starters can build up their stamina. Joe Biagini didn't have that opportunity. He was not groomed as a starter.
He basically had 2 starts.
There's a drive down the right field line. Aoki can't cut it off. It goes up against the wall. Polanco's headed for second. Mauer will stop at third, and Polanco has his 5th hit and 3rd double of the series.
They have been a thorn in the side of the Blue Jays so far in the first 3 games here. Mauer and then Polanco. Fastball inside, about belt high, and he just drops the barrel of the bat on the baseball. Gets it all the way to the wall. Aoki can't get over there to cut it off. Another extra base hit for the Minnesota Twins.
So Mauer and Polanco here in the first inning, they have both collected a hit. Now they have 12 hits in the 3 games between them. This is Eddie Rosario, the left fielder. There's a good fastball. He's got late movement on that fastball. Catches the inside corner.
Yeah, Joe can cut the ball and he can sink the ball. And he's throwing pretty hard. Rosario is a dead red fastball hitter. If you're going to throw that fastball, you got to get it in.
Looks like a changeup. Goins is going to come home. Here's the throw, the play at the plate inside. Mauer broke for home because the infield was back at double play depth, but it was hit right to Ryan, so he thought, I can get Mauer at home, and he made a strong throw to cut down their base runner.
Yeah, he didn't give anybody anything. He's going to get this one hopper from Rosario, look up very quickly, see that Mauer takes off. Looks like the Twins are going to take a look at it, but the tag was applied very quickly by Montero. We're going to have to take a... Minnesota, I think, is going to look at this and wonder if he got the foot in before the tag was applied.
I think Montero got him, and Molitor agrees. After checking with their video room, they will not ask for the video review. But a heads-up play by Goins. And that's the one thing. Just because you're in double play depth, you got to remember who the runner is, how quickly you get the ball, and then trust your arm strength. He made a good play.
If that's a 2-hopper, he goes to first base, and it's 1-0. But because it was a 1-hop seed right at him, he could get the out at the plate.
So the number 5 hitter is Byron Buxton. First pitch curveball for ball 1. Buxton was 0 for 3. He was hit by a pitch in the 8th inning, and that really set up the grand slam by Max Kepler. Tepera came into the ball game and hit Buxton to load the bases. Then the next batter, Kepler, hit a grand slam. Ground ball up the middle. That's a base hit. Here comes Polanco around third. He's going to score. They've got the runner hung up, and now they'll go to second. Ball gets away as it hits the runner. And now Polanco is going to, Rosario is going to end up at third base. Polanco came in to score, and he got halfway hung up between second and third. Carrera made a good throw to third. Buxton picks up the RBI single, and the Twins have a 1-0 lead.
He was baiting Carrera to make that throw. Looked like he was going to change a out for a run. That run's going to score from second base. Rosario runs, baits him to make the throw, and then gets back to second base. And when the ball gets away from him, he's allowed to move up. That will probably be an error on Josh Donaldson, trying to get the runner at second base.
It looked like the ball hit the base runner, and Donaldson will be charged with an error. That will be his 12th error of the season. An unfortunate error just hit the base runner as Rosario was hustling back to second.
He took a wide turn around second base, daring Carrera to throw it, but he kept his head up. saw that the throw was on line, put on the brakes, and went back to second base.
Buxton's a threat to run at first. There he goes. Pitches in the dirt. There'll be no throw, and Byron Buxton has his 24th stolen base of the season.
And 19th straight stolen base for Buxton. Top 5 in Minnesota history in consecutive stolen bases.
A very eventful first inning. Minnesota has a run on 3 hits. The Blue Jays have committed an error. Max Kepler, he hit the grand slam yesterday in the 8th inning. The Twins would get 2 more runs in the 9th, but they fell a run short, losing 10-9. Kepler, that was his 2nd career grand slam. Three and 0. Max Kepler has 7 home runs in his last 18 games. He's come on in the second half. You saw little Poppy, Kenny Vargas on deck. A 4-pitch walk. So Joe Biagini having a little problem here in the first inning, and he'll get a visit from his catcher and from the pitching coach. Montero was out, and then Pete Walker follows him out to the mound.
I think this message is going to be, Joe, your stuff is really good. You're throwing in the low 90s. You're getting a lot of movement. You got to just throw better quality pitches. Vargas is a home run threat at the plate.
Vargas has 9 home runs. First inning's always a challenge. This year, Biagini's ERA in the first inning is 9. Opponents hitting .267 and a whip nearly 2. Vargas has not hit a grand slam. 2 outs, the bases are loaded. A run in for Minnesota. There's a first pitch strike. His stuff is good.
Yeah, his stuff is really good. He's made a couple of pitches, and some good hitters have taken advantage of that. Maurer, that pitch wasn't that bad. He just went the other way against the shift. That started this whole inning.
Good curveball. It's 0-2. So a visit from the pitching coach, and Biagini is right back ahead of the count.
And Rosario, the runner at third base, was bluffing down the line against Biagini, and Joe was able to keep his concentration and deliver a quality strike.
Curveball, and he strikes it out. Biagini minimizes the damage here in the first. He gives up a run on 3 hits and error contributing to it. Minnesota has a 1-0 lead. Ezekiel Carrera will lead things off for the Blue Jays. He'll be the leadoff man for a second straight day. And then you look at the rest of the lineup for John Gibbons' Blue Jays. They scored 10 runs in yesterday's game for the first time since July 30th against the Angels right here at Rogers Center. Down in the cleanup spot, Steve Pearce over his last 9 games hitting over 300 with 4 doubles, a pair of home runs, and 3 ribbies. And then down in the 7th spot, Nori Aoki gets the start. He's got good numbers against the Twins starter Kyle Gibson. He's 4 for 11 with a double and 2 RBIs. He's in right field this afternoon for the Blue Jays.
Kyle Gibson will take the mound for the Minnesota Twins this afternoon, making his 23rd start of the season. He had a season-best 8 strikeouts on Tuesday when he allowed just 1 run on 7 hits over 7 innings. That was a win over the Chicago White Sox. He's had 2 stints with AAA Rochester this season. He's going 1-2 in 3 starts. He was recalled August the 4th after being optioned right at the end of July. And the Blue Jays have seen him before. 4 appearances against the Blue Jays. They've had 13 earned runs in 23 2/3 innings against Gibson.
This is Gibson's 5th season in the majors with Minnesota. Ground ball up the middle, through for a base hit for Carrera. Zeke gets things started. He makes things happen. Top of the order. Carrera was on base 4 times in yesterday's game. Couple of hits, couple of walks, and he scored a pair of runs.
Gibby will play a hunch, and he'll put Carrera in when it's a good matchup, and it always seems like Zeke comes up with something positive for the team. Squirts this one right under the glove of Polanco, the shortstop for the Blue Jays in the 1st.
So Carrera gets things started with a base hit. Josh Donaldson, what a month he has put together. Donaldson leads the American League with 12 home runs in the month of August. Only Giancarlo Stanton has hit more in the big leagues. He has 16. Donaldson also has driven in 27. That's tied for 3rd for the most ribbies in the month of August. Manny Machado and Stanton have both driven in 32. Donaldson is tied with Adrian Beltre with 27.
And it's the 1st inning, so you got to figure he's going to do something special. He always does, doesn't he?
He gets fired up for the 1st inning. There's no question about that. Donaldson, yesterday in the 1st inning, struck out. But that had an impact on the rest of the day because he said he didn't see the ball well out of Dylan G's hand, the starting pitcher. But Donaldson, 9 of his last 14 home runs have come in the 1st inning. Had a good cut. Donaldson, we mentioned what a great August he has put together, and this is in the American League. The slugging percentage for the month of August, the Seattle's Nelson Cruz is top. Joey Gallo of the Rangers had a great month, and Donaldson is right there with him. He's 3rd in slugging percentage in the month of August.
And he's been doing it in his career versus Minnesota. He has one of the highest slugging percentages all time against one team at 1.2.
One and 2 to Donaldson as Carrera takes his lead at 1st. Minnesota has a 1-0 lead.
He's got a nice lead over there, but I don't think he's going to be going. Not with the power that's coming up for the Blue Jays.
Donaldson and then Smoke. Gibson should really focus on the hitter here in the 1st inning and not worry about a stolen base. Off-speed pitch. Donaldson gets a piece of it. We mentioned the 12 home runs for Donaldson. For the Blue Jays, the most home runs in a single month by a Blue Jays hitter. Edwin Encarnacion hit 16 home runs in May of 2014. That's the franchise record for most home runs in a month. Jose Bautista in 2012 hit 14 in June. And then there are several players like Donaldson tied with 12 home runs in a single month. In the dirt. Jimenez keeps it in front of him. Carlos Delgado in '99 in August hit 12. Jose Cruz Jr. in August of 2001 hit 12. Bautista in May of 2010 had 12. And then Bautista in August of 2010 also hit 12. And now Donaldson here this month of August has hit 12.
So the record is 12 for the month of August in Blue Jays history. So he has a chance to set a new August record. One swing of the bat can do it.
Outside. So another thing he has done so well in this month, and it results in great numbers, is he doesn't chase any pitches.
He's seeing the ball. You can tell it with every at bat. He is seeing the ball, laying off tough pitches. That was a tough off-speed pitch from Gibson. Now he's worked himself into a count where he can sit on one pitch here.
Carrera at first, 3-2 count. Not running. Donaldson strikes out. So Gibson records a strikeout, first out of the bottom of the first. Let's take a look at the defense for Minnesota. We've got some great athletes in the outfield, Rosario, Buxton, and Kepler. Eduardo Escobar filling in for the injured Miguel Sano over at third.
Yeah, Sano's out. He's their home run and RBI leader, so he is out. So the super sub's going to take over. Escobar is their utility player. He's played everywhere. Second base, shortstop, third base. He's had a start in left field. He's also caught a game in a game this year, June the 6th at Seattle. The only position he hasn't played in the major leagues is first base. He's pitched also.
Great to have those types of versatile players on your roster. Gives you a lot of options when one of your regulars goes down. He assumes a role of a regular but just plays in different positions. So here is Justin Smoke. Smoke was 0 for 3 in yesterday's game. Had a couple of strikeouts and a pair of walks. Goes after the first pitch. Rosario, the left fielder, makes the catch. 2 away. Gibson gave up the leadoff single to Carrera, and now he has struck out Donaldson and got Smoke to fly out.
Well, he's got a good arm. He was a high draft pick for the Minnesota Twins, so his development has taken just a little bit more time, but he's got good stuff.
Gibson was drafted in 2006 by the Phillies in the 36th round out of high school in Indiana. Then he went to University of Missouri and became a first-round pick in 2009 by the Twins. Here's Steve Pearce. Pearce has been hot over his last 9 games, hitting .314. Got 4 doubles and 2 home runs during that stretch. Up the middle. Dozier is there. He thought about going to second, but makes a late throw to first, but it's in time to get Pearce. Blue Jays get a leadoff single and leave a base runner. Twins lead at 1-0 after 1 here at Rogers Center.
Welcome back inside the Rogers Center, where so far today Josh Donaldson has not hit a home run, but the way he is swinging the bat right now, it feels like that could come at any moment. As Buck and Pat just mentioned, it's been an absolutely historic month for Donaldson. 12 home runs is the 3rd most in a month for the Blue Jays. He still has some time to set the record, though. It was exactly 1 year ago tomorrow that Donaldson did this. On August 28, 2016, 3 home runs in a game against the Minnesota Twins, and believe it or not, the starting pitcher in that game, guys, Kyle Gibson. So it's understandable he's a little wary of Donaldson here today.
Absolutely. He was able to strike out Josh in his first at-bat, but it's the only 3-homer game that Donaldson has had. We talk about home runs in a month for the Blue Jays. Concepcion has the record, 16 home runs in May of 2014. Bautista hit 14 in June of 2012. And And then there's a host of Jays that have had 12 in a month. Eduardo Escobar, as Pat mentioned, he's their super utility player. He's playing at third base while Sano tries to get healthy.
Look at the numbers that he has put up as a utility type of player. 12 home runs and 46 RBIs. Not too shabby in 97 games. Not really known as a power hitter, but getting the job done.
A little bit of a struggle lately. Just 4 hits in his last 21 ABs.
Those 12 home runs matches his career high that he set in 2015.
The curveball from Biagini. Joe made 4 starts down in AAA Buffalo. His last start was pretty effective. It came on the 22nd of August at Pawtucket against the Boston's AAA ball club. He went 7 innings, allowed 5 hits and 2 earned runs. And lays off that high fastball.
He went 7 innings in that game. That was the important part right there, that he got stretched out and got pushed up towards 100 pitches.
He threw 86 pitches in that game and 60 strikes. That's a pretty good ratio. 2-2 to Escobar. Curveball hit in the air. Carrera is back. He's got plenty of room. He makes the pitch.
Well, Joe is that classic starter. His arsenal of pitching, fastball, curveball, changeup, slider. His slider is more like a cutter that he can get it off the barrel of the bat if he needs to. Throws at 95 or so with that fastball. Curveball is a good one. And it looks like Pete Walker told him, hey, let's start using the curveball just a little bit more. But that's a classic starter's repertoire right there.
Chris Jimenez, number 9 hitter, catching for the second time in this series, takes the first pitch strike. Jimenez had a double in the 9th inning on Friday night. Came around to score the 6th and final run for the Twins. Minnesota won that game 6-1. That cutter, as the appeal down to first, is denied. Jimenez is now 34 years old, and over his last 6 games been swinging a hot bat. There's another curveball.
Biagini had 3 seasons where he threw at least 20 starts down in the minor leagues, so this isn't anything new for him. It's new since he's become a Blue Jay, working out the stretch, and we always see Joe working on his fundamentals of pitching. So now a few more moving pieces to that windup as opposed to the stretch.
Jimenez gets a 1-out single. He continues to swing the bat well.
Hit a home run with any project this season. Home Hardware, proud sponsor of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Been a beautiful weekend here in Toronto. The Blue Jays have averaged over 40,000 for the season. Yesterday they had a crowd of 45,591. Going to be about the same here this afternoon. Back to the top of the order for Minnesota, Brian Dozier. Grounded out shortstop his first time up. Goes after the first pitch and bounces it foul. Dozier, one of the best power hitting second basemen in baseball. 26 home runs this year. Last year he had 42.
Jonathan Scope's got to be up there nowadays for power hitting second baseman, what he has been doing for Baltimore. And Brian Dozier right there does not get cheated. He gets up there and swings hard.
What is it about small second basemen that like to swing the bats? Altuve, Pedroia, Dozier. Scope, on the other hand, is about 6'3". He's a big man.
He's a big dude. That doesn't surprise me that he's hit 28 home runs this year.
28 home runs and 95 RBIs for the Orioles. Jonathan Scope. Blue Jays will see them next Thursday in Baltimore. outside. Dozier has 143 career home runs. That's 10th on the Twins franchise home run list. Fouls it back. Dozier's in his 6th season with Minnesota. Second halves have been great for him. Last 2 years, he's really had great second halves to his season. One and two to Dozier. Good blocked by Montero.
He likes what the Blue Jays feature also, especially in this ballpark. He's hit 5 home runs against the Blue Jays in his career, 3 of them right here. He'll pull that ball to left field with the best of them. Biagini gets on top of that curveball. Montero is able to block it with, looked like a few pieces of his body, his hand, his chest, and his arm.
Whatever it takes. Another foul. Dozier is 3 for 9 so far in this series. Check that, he's 3 for 10. He grounded out his first time up.
They have pitched him tough. They really haven't given him much to hit. He's had a couple of balls to right field, which is very rare for him to get base hits the other way.
Biagini strikes him out. Used that good fastball. That's the second strikeout for Biagini here this afternoon.
I think Joe, though, is still upset with himself because they actually wanted that fastball to go away. Watch Montero set up on the outside part of the plate, and that fastball comes all the way back to the inside part of the plate. And watching the reaction from Biagini after he strikes him out, he's not happy with himself. Missed his spot, but it turned out okay for him.
Got away with it for sure. 2 outs now, and here is Joe Mauer. He singled his first time up. He was thrown out trying to score in the first inning. Ground ball to short. There's one of those rare swings at the first pitch.
Yeah, ready for it. And how about the Blue Jays reacting to that first base hit from Joe Mauer? They've straightened out the defense a little bit.
Goins has moved to his right. He was more up the middle the first time Mauer hit.
I think he needs to take about 2 or 3 more steps to his right, even more. Joe Biagini throws that fastball down and away. Mauer's just going to push it the other way. Just try and stay inside that ball and hit it straight away shortstop.
Mauer has 7 hits. 5 of them have been to the left side of the field. Montero throws and almost threw it into right. Smoke went up and grabbed it, saving air for the catcher.
Or they had the outfield shifted all the way over to left field. If this gets over the head of Smoke, Jimenez, who's the catcher, he's not going to run that well. He would have been able to make it to third base easily. Aoki's covering up. You can see the gap in right center field.
3-1 now to Joe Mauer. Now Gibson has had a little extra time on the bench. He's trying to keep his shoulders loose. We have 2 gibbies in the game today, one on the Blue Jays bench and one pitching for Minnesota. 3-1. There goes the runner. Mauer hits it in the air. Shallow center. Barney going out. He stays with it. He makes the catch. Mauer's retired. The Twins leave a base runner in their half the second. We go to the bottom of the second. Minnesota leads 1-0. Morales, Montero, and Aoki for the Blue Jays.
On August 29th and August 30th, Jays Care will be leading a social media campaign titled #SportTeaches. The campaign will foster a conversation surrounding sport for development, the importance of physical activity for youth, and all the life skills that kids learn through sport. Follow at Jays Care on Twitter and Instagram, like on Facebook, and share the #SportTeaches from August 29th through 30th to join the conversation. Buck, Pat.
Thank you very much, Sean. That is a great initiative, and sport indeed teaches. It teaches you teamwork, it teaches you cooperation, discipline, and timeliness. Here is Kendrys Morales. He takes the first pitch upstairs. Morales hit his 22nd home run yesterday, leading off the second inning. It was his 17th career home run against Minnesota. He has hit 17 home runs against the Texas Rangers. That's the second most home runs he has hit against one team. He has 22 career home runs against the Oakland A's. That's the most he has hit against one team. Puts this ball on the ground. Dozier was not playing him deep in the outfield, and he's able to make the play. One away.
It was on a low fastball that he hit that home run yesterday. That time Kyle Gibson throws him that sinker. He's got a 94-mile-an-hour sinker, and I'm assuming he's just going to pound the lower parts of that strike zone today. Get the Blue Jays to roll over on that pitch.
This is not, excuse me, Pat, this has not been a good place for the Twins to play ball. They're trying to win a series in Toronto for just the second time in the last 11 seasons. Blue Jays have had their number.
Yeah, they had a 7-game losing streak snapped here the other night on Friday.
Fastball is inside to the catcher, Miguel Montero. Numbers combined between the Cubs and the Blue Jays. He's played a total of 64 games this season. Montero was 1 for 3 in the opener on Friday night. He had a leadoff single in the 6th, was stranded. He also walked in the 8th.
Looking a little bit more dangerous lately, especially driving the ball the other way. Those numbers right there, those are his 20 games since coming over. But his last 3 or 4 games, he's starting to hit the ball a little harder like that.
That ball has got a chance to get down, and it does. Buxton has a go over his head. It's all the way up against the wall, and Buxton still can't come up with it. But Montero cruises into second with his second double as a Blue Jay.
Hey, left center field, he's been wearing it out over the last couple of days. You take that sinker, you don't want to try and pull it. You got to stay right with it if you're a left-handed batter. The Super Slow-Mo brought to you by the Samsung QLED, the next innovation in TV. That's classic hitting the other way for Montero. Sinker down and away. He's been wearing out that gap in left center field lately.
Montero hit a home run Sunday in Chicago to left center against his former team, the Cubs.
He also doubled the left center in that game, if you remember, right off the ivy in left center field.
Nori Aoki, the right fielder, has hit well against Kyle Gibson in the past. Takes a first pitch fastball. 4 for 11 for his career. That's a .364 average. Jays have swung the bats a little bit better in this series with runners in scoring position. They are 5 for 16 in the first 2 games of this series. There's a base hit for Aoki. They're waving Montero around. Here's the throw from Buxton. It is on line, but not in time. Jimenez may have had a chance to get him. He swiped at him, but actually missed him trying to tag him.
Yeah, I don't think Bucky ever tagged him. He had the ball, so he could have put that left foot down to block off Montero at the plate. What a throw by Buxton in center field. I didn't think he had any chance of getting that runner, who read it perfectly, but he uncorked a great throw. Here's the tag. He gives him the lane, catches the ball, starts to put the leg over. Watch the tag. Whiff. He whiffed on him.
Jimenez just entirely too far in front of home plate. Takes another step to his left. He can block the play and then keep Montero from scoring.
Trying to sell it to the umpire, but he didn't come close.
There's a base hit by Goins. Aoki will stop at second. Double, single, single for the Blue Jays here in the second. Goins extends his hit streak to 6 straight.
Ryan aggressive in that at bat. Runner at first base. Try and yank that ball through the right side, which he does. Aoki with the RBI. Blue Jays are looking comfortable. There's the whole right side that he can take a shot at, and he rolls that bat over to get the ball onto the right side. Aoki has to hold up momentarily, so he can only move up to second.
Goins is now 5 for 8 on the homestand, first 3 games of this series. Darwin Barney, he's just 5 for his last 35 against right-handed pitching. That goes back to the 5th of August. Blue Jays have tied it here against Gibson in the second. Ground ball. Dozier will go to second. They dropped it off. All hands are safe. Polanco was a long way from second base when Dozier gave him that backhanded toss. That might have been time for an overhand throw and get that ball quicker to the shortstop.
And give him a chance to get to the bag. Polanco had a long way to go. Here he comes, and now he's got to find the bag, find the ball all in one motion. It looked like he took his eye off the ball momentarily and dropped it to set up this inning. This is part of the game that the Minnesota Twins have been playing really well this year. They have cut their errors way down from last season, but that time it cost them.
Absolutely, and that has been a real strength of this ball club. As you mentioned, they have tightened up their defense, but it's not the case on that play. That looked like it had a chance to be 2. So back to the top of the order. Zeke had a single to center field his first time up. Bases are loaded. Montel got this inning started with a 1-out double. He came in to score on Aoki's RBI single to center. Then Goins had a base hit. Fielder's choice by Barney. The air by the shortstop. That's loaded the bases. Zeke tried to check his swing and fouls it out.
He was looking for a ball out over the plate, and Kyle Gibson crossed him up, burned one inside on him. His base hit was on a ball that was away from him, took it right back through the middle.
Molitor moving the third baseman back.
He's telling him on a slow hit ball, come home. On a hard hit ball, go around the infield for 2.
Molitor has the advantage of having played shortstop, second base, third base. Of course, he was a great hitter, good base runner, good base stealer. So he has a lot of great information he can pass along to his players.
Played some first base too, didn't he?
Yep. Now he has knowledge, first-hand knowledge. 1-2 to Carrera. He stays alive.
It was Carrera who had that infield hit yesterday that helped out the Blue Jays before the Donaldson home run on a slow hit ball to third base.
No Pilar, no Bautista today. They both get the day off, at least the start of this ball game. A ball and 2 strikes, and the Blue Jays trying to break the tie. Pulled foul.
Boy, that was a good pitch to hit. Fastball middle in.
The Twins have allowed 8 or more runs in 6 of the last 7 games they have played here at Rogers Center. They only allowed a single run on Friday, and that was Bartolo Colon who started that game.
Not going to win too many games when you give up that many runs.
Breaking ball taken low. 5 times in those games, the Twins have scored 6 runs, and they lost every time they scored those 6 runs. Too much ground to make up. Jimenez and Gibby will chat about this next pitch. Guerrero is second at bat against Gibson today.
He was saying something to him, Gibson, to the catcher after that last pitch, like I can't see the signs, or give me some better signs, something like that after that last pitch. So instead of guessing, they're going to go out there and talk about it. It's a big pitch right here. 2-2.
Just barely foul.
It's getting closer. He's getting closer.
Working it toward the fair part of this field.
Mauer is in at first base, so anything that he gets, he's going to come home first.
Carrera's on everything that Gibson is throwing him right now. He's only thrown him 1 pitch inside. Carrera's average at .305 for the season after that base hit his first time up. He is 2 for 5 against the Twins starter. Ground ball. Dozier goes to second this time. Polanco's throw in time. They turn the double play, and Gibson works his way out of it. The Blue Jays get a run on 3 hits and an error, and they have tied it at 1-1 as we head to the 3rd.
The green chairs are this month's winner of the TD Comfort Zone contest. Later today, Sportsnet presents 40 in 40 Greatest Blue Jays. Our panel of baseball experts voted, and we'll reveal the top 40 Blue Jays since 1977. Jamie Campbell, Jerry Hauer, Stephen Brun, and Jeff Blair host 40 in 40 following Baseball Today on Sportsnet.
Well, Pat and I haven't been in the first 20, so we must be in the top 20, Pat. That's all I could think.
Yeah, I didn't see our name for the first part of that, but you know, we have not been privy to the answers,
right?
So we don't know. So we had a little contest today to pick our top 10. It's just for us and the guys in the truck, and we'll see who wins out tomorrow after it's revealed.
It's a great study in top 40 players in franchise history. It'll be interesting to see that list revealed later on today. Jorge Polanco, he doubled and scored the Twins run. Ball on the strike. The line score identical for both teams, a run on 4 hits and an error. They have both committed an error so far in this game. Off the end of the bat, little looper. This is trouble, and Carrera. Oh, what a catch. No, he dropped it. And then he threw it to second. It looked like he had it in his glove, and he didn't catch it. So Polanco has a leadoff double.
Yeah, Zeke broke back initially when you got a big hitter like Polanco's hitting third in the lineup today. Watch him at the top of your screen take a full swing like this. It's actually off the end of the bat. Takes a half a step back, and that cannot recover. He had it in his glove, and it looked like he had a shot at it. But it popped out, rolled on the carpet. Here he is, full extension. See, it's on the glove. He just has to turn the hand over just a little bit more, and it stays in that pocket.
Yeah, that first step he took back cost him a chance to make a catch on that. Polanco now with 4 doubles in the series. That's his second double in this game. Eddie Rosario hit the ball to shortstop. That Goins threw to home and nailed Joe Mauer trying to score. So Rosario had the fielder's choice in the first. Be interesting to see how he handles his at bat in this situation with the leadoff double. You know, Molitor's thinking about having a productive at bat, moving him over from second to third at least. He gets the ball, and that's going to do it. Aoki comes in. They're going to stop the runner at third. The throw is cut off, and Rosario will stop at first, and he's got his first hit of the afternoon.
Molitor was talking about those type of productive at-bats the other day. You know, a productive at-bat could be a ground ball where you move the runner, or it could be a long fly ball where you do something where offensively you keep the pressure on. That was a productive at-bat by Rosario. Not just the base hit, where he hit it, he was able to pull the ball. Absolutely.
You think about doing good things for your team, and you're going to be rewarded, as Rosario was with a base hit. So Biagini is in a jam here. First and third, nobody out. Byron Buxton had a base hit up the middle and drove in a run.
This has been a relentless offense here in this 3-game series for Minnesota. Blue Jays come back. Seems like Minnesota has had an answer for them for 3 days. Blue Jays took the lead in yesterday's game, and then Minnesota was relentless in the 9th inning.
Breaking ball for a strike. It's 1-1 on Buxton. Buxton is just 23 years old. He was the Twins' first-round pick in 2012, the second pick overall in that 2012 draft. Ground ball. Donaldson's going to come home when they've got the base runner in a rundown. And now they've got him running toward home, and Biagini's involved, and now they still have the runner going between home and third, but the 2 runners move up as they both advance. Polanco is tagged out. Rosario moves all the way to third base, and Buxton alertly moves into second.
You know, I was watching Donaldson on this play to begin with. It's first and third, nobody out, so he was really decoying that runner Polanco at third base. Then he comes off the line, and his only play is to come home. That's the right play. Throws the ball on the inside. Here comes the rundown. The only problem with the rundown is it took too many throws, and the runners were now allowed to move up to second and third. So it's now second and third and just 1 out.
Great job by Polanco to extend the rundown and allow those 2 base runners to move up. So actually the Twins have a better situation now with just 1 out. They have runners at second and third. Max Kepler walked in the first inning. In case you're wondering about that putout, it was 5-2, 5-1, 6-2 on the putout of Polanco.
I was wondering. I was wondering how Montero got the ball back.
Montero threw it back to Donaldson, and then Goins threw it to Montero for the putout.
Got a base open right here. I know it's just the third inning, but you want to pitch around trouble. Kepler had the big grand slam in yesterday's ball game.
The Twins played 5 games against the White Sox in Chicago in the span of 4 days, and Max Kepler was hit with food poisoning. Took him a couple of days to regain his strength, but obviously, looking at him now, he's 100% raring to go again.
He's up to 59 RBIs. That's 4 off of his career high. And it looks like they're trying to pitch around him.
Kenny Vargas is on deck. He struck out with the bases loaded in the first. Little Poppy, his nickname for this players weekend. (3-1) to Kepler. He walked him. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Gene Segura made 3 errors. Kyle Seager made an error, and Ben Gamble made an error. 5 errors in 1 inning. That's hard to do.
I just got to back here. They now have 6 errors in the game. They must have made another one in the second inning. Yankees have 6 hits, 6 runs.
Well, the Yankees are coming on strong, and Boston, they've lost 3 in a row. Yankees have won 6 of their last 10. Red Sox are 5-5 over their last 10. Little Poppy fouls it back. It's 0-2. And of course, Big Poppy began his career with the Twins. In the minor leagues with Seattle, and he went to Minnesota in the big leagues, and
they let him go.
Yeah, they actually let him go. They released him.
They let him go. Boston picks him up, and the rest is history. Vargas has a lot of the same characteristics as David Ortiz. Big, strong left-hander. Doesn't really have a position. He plays first base.
He's the DH this afternoon. He played first base in yesterday's game and was 1 for 4.
And he looks like him too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Same body, same stature. He's a switch hitter, unlike Ortiz. Big Poppy. 0-2. Montero knocked it down and stayed right there close to home. Vargas yesterday hit 3 ground balls to second baseman. Biagini would love to see one of those right now. Biagini has thrown 57 pitches.
20 in the first inning, 21 more in the second inning. 57 here with just 1 out.
In his last outing in AAA, he went 7 innings and threw 86 pitches. He was very efficient, and he was pounding the strike zone. 60 of those 86 pitches were strikes. Two and 2, 1 out. That's going to drop for a base hit. Casares in to score. Here comes Buxton right behind him, and Vargas delivers a little flare into left field for 2 runs.
He struck him out last time on a good curveball to finish off that first inning. This time with 2 strikes on a 2-2 count. Goes fastball, and Vargas is able to just fight it off, and he's strong enough to get it into the outfield. A couple more RBIs for Vargas. High fastball. That's an inside-out swing where he just flares it the other way. A couple of RBIs. He had the right guy running at second base, didn't he? Buxton's going to cut that corner and score easily from second.
The Twins have done a pretty good job of hitting with runners in scoring position in this series, as Kenny Vargas had that good two-strike approach, and he drives home 2. So the Twins have the lead. It's 3-1. They've already racked up 7 hits against Biagini. Eduardo Escobar, the third baseman, wails at that first pitch. Mentioned the Twins coming up with clutch hits. They're 11 for 29 in this series, batting with runners in scoring position. Oh, 0-2 quickly to the third baseman.
Sounds like Paul Molitor type of stats, doesn't it? Hitting with runners in scoring position like that. He always had a way of coming up with hits.
Well, he had that great approach at the plate. Very short swing, very quick bat.
Sure, he has passed along some of those hitting tips to these young Minnesota Twins hitters.
Hitting tips, base running tips, defensive tips. He can offer a lot.
They haven't re-signed him. His contract's up at the end of the season as the manager.
He's in his third season as the manager. Won 83 games his first year in 15, just 59 last year. Escobar strikes out.
The all-new 2017 Civic Si. When it leads off, it leads for good. Honda, proud fan since 1977 and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
A lot of people around the Rogers Center, inside and outside, on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, and the Twins have scored 2 in the third to take a 3-1 lead. Chris Jimenez had a single to center his first time up. Veteran catcher. He's been around a while. Parts of 4 seasons in Cleveland. He's also played in Tampa Bay, Texas, Seattle, and now Minnesota.
Guys like Chris Jimenez can play forever. They're good teammates. They help the pitching staff. When they get a chance to play, they end up doing something. He's hitting just over 200, but he's got some power. He's hit 6 home runs this season and about 150 at-bats.
He's had a career high in at-bats this season, getting a chance to play. And right now, their frontline catcher, Jason Castro, is on the 7-day DL with a concussion.
Says he's feeling a little bit better. The headaches have gone away.
Castro is eligible to be activated on Thursday. He took a foul chip Wednesday in Chicago off the bat of Jose Abreu. 3-0 to Jimenez. There's a 4-pitch walk, and again that'll load the bases. Let's check it with Jamie Campbell.
No TJ House, right? He got sent down, so Biagini. So we have no long man.
Well, J.B. Cleveland sending a message to the Royals. Hey, this is our division, folks, and we're going to take it. So I don't think you're going to take us and recapture the lead. But what a message they are sending to the Royals. So the bases are loaded. Seems like the Twins have had the bases loaded all afternoon. They left them loaded in the first. Brian Dozier batting for the 3rd time. This is the 3rd inning. Dozier has grounded out and struck out. Fouls this one back. It's 1-1. Dozier's the 8th man to bat here in the 3rd inning.
Joe's up to 70 pitches now. He has failed to complete 6 innings in his last 4 starts. His last start coming on July the 2nd. That was against Boston.
One and two now. Minnesota has stranded 4 base runners so far. They stranded bases loaded in the first, stranded a runner in the second. They've got the bases loaded here in the third. Biagini trying to get out of it. Dozier gets a piece of that breaking ball.
Just able to get a piece of it to extend the at-bat.
Biagini strikes out Dozier. Again, the Twins will leave the bases loaded. They have stranded 7, but they still have a 3-1 lead. Joe Biagini strikes out Brian Dozier with the curveball. That's his 4th strikeout of the afternoon, but the Twins have that 3-1 lead.
Our Sunday salute goes to Petty Officer Second Class David Finnemore. Petty Officer Second Class Finnemore is a decorated medical technician who has served with the Canadian Armed Forces for over 12 years. He recently received a commendation for his leadership throughout the development and execution of a combat medical training program delivered to Ukrainian soldiers in order to increase their survivability in combat. We are proud to salute Petty Officer Second Class David Finnemore and all the brave men and women of the Canadian Forces.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Sean, as Marco Estrada takes part in that Sunday salute. For the Blue Jays, it'll be Donaldson, Smoke, and Pierce against Kyle Gibson. Boy, the Twins had a chance to really bust things wide open early in this ball game. They've stranded 7 base runners through 3 innings.
Yeah, twice they've had a chance to bust it open. Left the bases loaded in the 1st and the 3rd innings. So take advantage of it. The offense has a chance now, keeping it a 2-run game.
You just know Blue Jays are going to score some more runs. Yesterday they scored 10 runs on 13 hits. Joe Biagini making his first start back with the ball club up from AAA Buffalo. Inside.
Well, like you said, 6 of the last 7 games here in Toronto, the Twins have given up at least 8 runs in a ball game to the Blue Jays. So you figure there's some more runs out there.
This is Gibson's 5th start in the month of August. He's 1-2 with a .429 earned run average in August, and the opponents have hit over 300 against him in those 5 times. This is a fly ball to right. Kepler giving chase, and that ball is into the seats, out of play.
Do you get the feeling every time Josh Donaldson swings the bat now he's going to hit a home run?
I do.
I do, or an extra base hit. Just the way he looks at the plate. A couple more extra base hits in yesterday's ball game for Donaldson. But every time he just loads up, it just looks like he's going to sting the ball hard.
He's had 8 home runs in his last 13 games and 14 in his last 27 games. Yesterday, he also had multiple extra base hits. He had a double and a home run. And the fans on this sunny day would love to see it rain. Breaking ball in the dirt. And Donaldson will go to first. A leadoff walk here in the 3rd inning. Beauty Tone, Canada's color experts, available exclusively at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Well, this is generally when the Blue Jays get something going. Donaldson, Smoke, and Pierce. Josh is aboard with another walk. He has drawn his share of walks. He's 2nd in the American League since late July in walks.
Oh no.
Boy, he got picked off.
He was going on first movement, or he was just trying to come off, but alertly Kyle Gibson threw over there, and after that leadoff walk, Josh Donaldson's going to get picked off. Watch him.
Well, he took a big jump towards second, and Maurer slaps the tag on him, so that leadoff walk is erased.
Looked like he was just assuming that he was going to go home, and he was taking a secondary lead. A heads-up play by the Twins to wipe out that leadoff walk.
Justin Smoke, he flat out left field his first time up. That's a base hit for Smokey. He hits it into center field. That pickoff now even bigger for Minnesota.
Well, you said it. You have the right guys coming up. You get a leadoff walk. Yeah. Smoke follows that up with this high sinker that he gets on top of. Muscles that out into center field. His swing looks so good this year. Rocks back. It's a simple swing. Not a lot of effort. Just uses those hands, bangs it back through the middle. His first hit of the afternoon.
He has been consistent all season long. Good at bats, taking pitches, taking his walks, delivering big hits, and Pierce goes after the first pitch. Smoke, that's his 133rd hit of the season. That too is a career high, and he's set career highs almost across the board. 35 home runs, 82 RBIs. Those are both career highs. Pierce takes strike 2.
Steve did not play in the game yesterday. John Gibbons gave him the day off. He's been swinging a red hot bat. Day game after a night game, though. He wanted to get him off his feet, give him a day off. Back in there today.
Steve has hit the ball to right field with authority lately, and the Twins defense reflects that. Kepler is basically straight away in right. Buxton just about straight away in the center. But Pierce, his reputation is that he's a pull hitter.
Pull hitter. Batting leadoff. He's been hitting the ball all over the place.
So fly ball into center. Buxton is there. Pierce is retired. 2 away. Kendrys Morales. We mentioned Morales with the home run yesterday has now hit 17 home runs against the Twins. Blue Jays hit 2 home runs yesterday. And when they hit home runs, they win. They are 35-16 when they have 2 or more home runs in a game.
This should be a good matchup, I think, for Morales. Fastball pitcher, sinker. He's a low ball hitter. He's had 5 hits in his career off of Gibson, one of them a home run.
Another fastball, it's upstairs. Well, Morales with 22 home runs, and he's hit some of the longest home runs here at Rogers Center this season. In fact, he's got the top 3 home runs. 465 on June 14th against Tampa Bay, 460 against the White Sox, and 455. That was yesterday.
He winds up, if you will, at the plate and gets everything going. So when he gets his pitch to his liking, that one down, well, he could knock it out of here. He's had a couple of walk-off home runs for the Blue Jays this season.
Starting to swing a little better over his last 5 games. Remember Morales on the homestand a couple of weeks ago. He was sick and battled a fever.
Yeah, and it took him some time to get that timing back at the plate. It's just the home run that he hit yesterday. That is a bomb into the flight deck in center field. That was the one that was measured at 455. He had a pitch to hit that last one. He fouled it back. Upset with himself that he just fouled it back.
Morales thought that ball was inside, but he's called out on strikes. A breaking ball does the trick, and the Blue Jays get a walk, a single, but they can't capitalize.
Super Slow-Mo Cam. Brought to you by the Samsung QLED, the next innovation in TV.
Commemorate this inaugural Players Weekend at jshop.ca with limited edition select Blue Jays tees featuring player pick nicknames and caps. Wear the gear the players are wearing on the field this weekend. Available while supplies last at jshop.ca.
Thank you very much, Sean. And you see the nicknames: Darwin Barney playing at second base, and Genie, Joe Biagini pitching. He is set to start the 4th inning. Joe Mauer 1 for 2. Mauer is a 3-time batting champ. He has had a very good career, a native of St. Paul, Minnesota. He is now 34 years old. He was a first overall pick of the Twins in 2001. 5-time Silver Slugger, 3-time Gold Glover, and a 6-time All-Star. He's had a terrific career.
Remember, he came up as a catcher.
Played 10 years as a catcher.
As a catcher, they've moved him over to first base, and that works.
Breaking ball. He waits on it. It goes over Aoki's head. It's going to go all the way to the wall. Bauer is headed around second. He's going to third, and he'll get in there with a slide. Aoki playing in right field for the 4th time here with the Blue Jays. On the afternoon games, that turf gets very, very springy, and he got too close to that ball and bounced over his head.
He will learn that on day games. That sun's going to heat up the turf, so it makes it a little bit more bouncy. And that ball bounces over his head. It'll probably go as a triple for Mauer as he reads it. And Aoki's just not tall enough to get that high hop. Joe Mauer at it again. Another multi-hit game in this series.
He has 8 hits in the 3-game series. And his average up to .298, his first triple of the season. For Mauer, that's his 29th career triple. This is his 14th year in the big leagues. He's a great athlete. The infield has drawn in. Jorge Polanco has a pair of doubles. He had a pop double in the 3rd, a little pop up in the center field that hit off of Carrera's glove as he was sliding to make the catch.
Mauer and Polanco have been tough on the Blue Jays in this series.
Polanco has 6 hits. Mauer has 8 hits. 14 hits in 3 days for the 2-3 hitters in this lineup.
Chulo, pretty boy. That's what it means. He's been pretty at the bat.
He's swinging like a pretty boy. Nobody out. Mauer at 3rd. Mauer was thrown out trying to score from 3rd base in the 1st inning. Goins at shortstop made a terrific play. He was deep at short. Mauer anticipating they were going to concede the run at the plate, but Goins crossed him up.
Probably playing make it go through on this one. Man on 3rd base, nobody out. You just make the ball go through. Don't stray too far from 3rd base.
That ball gets away, but not far enough for Mauer to break for home.
What you don't want to do if you're the runner over there at 3rd base is get doubled up on a line drive. Stay close enough that you can get back on a fly ball. You're probably not going on the ground unless it makes its way into the outfield. But you don't want a line drive right at the 3rd baseman and get doubled off.
Aaron Loop now is loosening up for the Blue Jays. Dermody was up last inning. Now it's Loop. Ground ball as Biagini swipes at it. Goins is there to back him up, and they throw out Polanco at 1st.
And that's exactly what Mauer did. He was going to make that ball go through.
The Twins are going to look at this call at first base. Biagini swipes at it, may have tipped it a little bit. But Goins is right there, and now the Twins have conceded the out. They will not appeal.
Now the infield is going to come all the way in anticipation of the Twins trying to play contact.
Polanco's retired 1-6-3 on the ground out as Biagini tipped it. Rosario, the left fielder. Rosario has hit into a fielder's choice and singled. Single to right in the 3rd. Smoke at first will look Mauer back at 3rd and steps on the bag, so there are 2 away.
Joe Biagini should be Joe Houdini right now, the way he has been pitching around these base runners. Left the bases loaded in the first inning. Left the bases loaded in the third inning, and now a leadoff triple still standing over there at third base.
He is being a genie today. 2 outs, Byron Buxton. Buxton had an RBI single in the first inning. Reached on a fielder's choice. There's a breaking ball for strike 1.
Boy, if he could pitch out of this leadoff triple, it'll do wonders, I think, for the Blue Jays.
That ball is drilled to left field, and it's going to go. Byron Buxton sat back on a breaking ball and hits his 11th home run. A 2-run home run, and the Twins have taken a 5-1 lead. So Buxton 2 for 3 so far this afternoon. He's driven in 3 runs. And that's going to be it for Joe Biagini.
You know, we talked about the power of Byron Buxton here the first day. He had a long one right before he got here when the team was in Chicago. Stay back on that breaking ball. That shows you that he's getting better as a hitter. A line drive right out of here. Buxton's 11th of the season. And the final pitch that Joe Biagini is going to throw this afternoon.
Biagini throws 85 pitches. The bullpen comes on. It'll be Aaron Loop to face the left-hander Max Kepler. The Twins have taken a 5-1 lead. A disappointing outing for Joe Biagini, making his first start since coming back from the minor leagues, and didn't go so well. Biagini out of the ball game after 85 pitches. Aaron Loop comes in to take over.
Blue Jays don't have a true long man down in the bullpen. T.J. House was sent down before the ball game today to get Joe Biagini on the roster, so they're going to have to use a few relievers to get through this one. Aaron Loop, for his career, only Scott Downs, for a left-hander reliever, has appeared in more games than Aaron Loop. This is his 306th career game for the Blue Jays.
Kepler pulls it foul. It's ball on a strike to the right fielder. Kepler has walked both times he's come to the plate this afternoon. Or Byron Buxton, he sat all over that breaking ball from Biagini and hit a liner out of this ballpark, a 2-run homer.
I believe that was the pitch that he grounded out when there were runners on first and third. Remember, he hit that ground ball and they got into the rundown. I think he put that in the back of his mind and said when he needs a strike, he's going to go to that curveball, and he was sitting on it.
Kepler strikes out. That ends the inning. Luke comes in and closes out the Twins in the top of the 4th. The Blue Jays will bat bottom of the 4th. They trail 5-1.
Inside the Rogers Center, where a group of special guests are in attendance. That is the Little League team from White Rock, BC, that represented Team Canada at the Little League World Series. And this year was the deepest Canada has gone at the tournament in almost 20 years. Today, the kids were introduced, got to stand on the baseline for the anthems. But the true thrill came before the game when Aaron Sanchez spotted them and invited them into the dugout. He hung out with them for almost half an hour. He talked to the kids, he signed some baseball, and just kind of talked and hung out with the kids. It was a once-in-a-lifetime moment for them. It was also a special one for Sanchez, though. I talked to him, he said it brings him back to the days when he was that age, playing baseball for fun, dreaming of the majors. It was a nice reminder of the journey he took to get to this point. It was a pretty cool moment to watch, guys.
And you can bet a lifelong memory for these youngsters that got the great experience of going to Little League World Series. And good for Aaron. I think you understand the impact you have if you're around kids and you see them, how much they're impressed by you taking the time to come over and visit with them. And, you know, Aaron understands that, and that was a great gesture.
Yeah, hats off also to the Blue Jays. They do this every year around this time of the year. They bust the kids up from Williamsport on their way back to their home. They've been on the road for a month or so, those kids. Blue Jays bring them in here. Hope they brought them through the clubhouse, get some of the other players to talk to them and be part of this day, which is a congratulations to them for their season.
They won 2 games, and then they lost to Mexico and Japan, and now they realize they're on TV. Well done, boys. We're proud of you. Great job in Williamsport. Of course, they were part of the Little League Classic, the great game between the Pirates and the Cardinals there on Sunday, just before the start of the Little League World Series. So all the Little Leaguers got a chance to see a big league game up close and personal.
That was pretty cool. And the big league players, it looked like to a man, went out of their way to get engaged with all the kids. Because as a player, you remember what that was like. If you ever had a chance when you were 12 years old to be on a big league field, to meet a big leaguer.
Lasting memories for sure. Montero hits this one to center field, but there's Buxton who makes the catch. 1 away here in the 4th. You know, you talk about the great Little League Classic. Clint Hurdle and Mike Matheny, the 2 managers, they agreed to shake hands at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Something that the Little Leaguers do on a regular basis, and I thought that was terrific.
The whole team did, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they all go out there and shake hands just like they do in
lined
Little
up.
League?
Yep, just like the end of a hockey playoff series.
Finals today in the Little League World Series.
Nori Aoki, a base hit RBI single in the 2nd inning. He goes after this first pitch, and this one's gonna go. Get up, get out of here, down. Aoki with his 5th home run of the season. John Gibbons liked the matchup. Coming into this game, Aoki was 4 for 11 against the starter Kyle Gibson. He's 2 for 2 this afternoon.
With 2 RBIs and showing off that power. We saw that power down in Houston when he had a home run. He also hit one here earlier on a homestand on the game. The 2nd pitch of the ball game knocked it out. This time he hits another one, his 5th of the season. Way back in right field.
Getting a bow from Joey Bats.
The power hitting right fielder. Aoki with another homer.
That gets the blood flowing a little bit here at Rogers Center. It's a good swing. Nice balance, high leg kick, and he turns on it. So it's a 5-2 ball game. Goins out in front of that pitch, hooks it foul. Ryan had a base hit to right his first time up.
Out of the lineup, starting to do some damage for the Jays. Aoki's 2 for 2. Goins has a hit today. Marty's been on base with an error. Setting it up for the top of the lineup. Goins has looked good at the plate in this series.
Ryan extended his hit streak to 6 straight games with that single in the 2nd inning. Well, you know, the Blue Jays feel like they can come back and get back into this ball game. They've been swinging the bats so well. Ryan has 23 extra base hits this season. That's just 2 shy of his career high, which came in 2015. This time he strikes out on a good breaking ball from Gibson. So you see the ball boy thinks he's doing a good thing, and then that youngster says, "Oh, I'm going to play too." So he throws it back onto the field, and you know, he's sitting there watching all these guys are throwing the baseball around.
Give it to Mom.
Yeah.
Mom will hold on to it.
They said, "Hey, I wanted to play." So now they have a souvenir. He's going to throw it again. Okay. We'll go home and we'll play when we get home. And you can't throw it on the field anymore.
Showed a pretty good arm for a little guy.
Darwin Barney with the ball on the strike. Now the slider that's fouled into the seats. It's 1-2.
You can see why Gibson was such a high draft pick. He's tall, he's got long arms, his ball moves all over the place, and he's now getting comfortable in the big leagues. Understanding what it takes to win. They have high hopes for Gibson.
Barney went around, according to the home plate umpire Todd Tishner. A strikeout for Gibson. He strikes out a pair in the inning. Okay, it's a home run. We'll go to the 5th. 5-2 Minnesota. Now time for Blue Jays Central Updaters. Jamie Campbell with Kevin Barker from the Samsung broadcast studio. We always take a look at the minor leagues and give you a farm report. Today we thought we'd profile the catcher Danny Jansen, who is currently in Buffalo. And you see, Pat, he started out in 2015. He didn't hit very well, but this year it's been a different story for Jansen.
Yeah, he got some eyewear last year, and now he says I can see the ball, and it reflects in his batting average. Look at those numbers. He started in A-ball, AA-A's, up to AAA, hitting .392 in AAA. He was formerly a 16th round draft pick in 2013. He's only 22 years old. So you got a catcher. What we understand is catching skills are pretty good. Now you add the bat to that. Blue Jays might have something now.
Danny Jansen moved to AAA Buffalo on the 4th of August, and he's hit just about in every game he's played. Kenny Vargas is a switch hitter, so he turns around the bat right-handed for the first time. Vargas had a 2-run single in the 3rd inning. He drove in the 2nd and 3rd run for Minnesota, and then Buxton hit a 2-run home run in the 4th.
Looks like Todd Tishner might have caught a little bit of that ball in the dirt. We got him in the left arm somewhere.
Ground ball through the right side. Base hit for Vargas. He's 2 for 3. Leadoff single here in the 5th. You know, the Twins, they have crossed up the shift a few times in this series. And you got to think that's the influence of that guy right there, Paul Molitor. Say, hey, look around. See where they're playing you. See if you can't find a hole somewhere. Get yourself a base hit.
You know, as you look at the hitters that they throw up there, no one except really Brian Dozier, for me, is a guy that you would play 3 infielders on the one side of the infield. They all hit the ball all over the place, wherever it's pitched. They've got some switch hitters. They've got some power hitters, but they hit the ball the other way. And you're right, they have crossed up the Blue Jays a couple of times in that shift defense.
Eduardo Escobar, the third baseman. He is behind Loop 0-2.
Blue Jays are catching a small break without Miguel Sano in their lineup. Sano, 28 home runs and 77 RBIs. He's on the DL. Now that's one guy I would think that they would shift against because he's a pull hitter.
Having a good year. Got a little bit of a stress reaction in his shin, and he is on the DL, unavailable. Escobar has gone 0 for 2 so far, a flyout and a strikeout. Loop came into the ball game with 2 outs in the 4th and struck out Max Kepler swinging. Way inside, it's 1-2. Escobar strikes out for a second time in this ball game. Second strikeout for Loop.
Been throwing harder lately. And he gets that rest. And he can go multiple days and 3 out of 4, but then you won't see the good fastball. He's had proper rest. His fastball's got some pop to it right now.
Catcher Chris Jimenez has walked and singled. He's hitting 9th in this lineup. Jimenez getting his first look at Aaron Loop. Loop's ahead 0-2.
It's a difficult angle for a hitter to try and pick up the ball from Loop because he starts on the mound and he closes up that front side. He starts on that first base side. You can see him right there. Now he's going to drop and throw across his body and hide it, and he's got that ability to paint that fastball in on right-handed batters. Looks like they're going there. Breaking ball.
Breaking ball catches the outside corner, trying to go in. They missed across the plate, but throw a strike to Jimenez.
But it's that tough angle, and it's tough to pick the ball up. It's almost like it's coming out of his shoulder, and you don't pick it up until it's too late. Tucks, hides, steps across his body, and then flings it right out of that shoulder. That's 3 strikeouts and 4 batters.
All 3 outs he's recorded have come on strikeouts. Brian Dozier, he's off to a tough start to his afternoon. He's 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts.
Those are the kind of days where you feel there's good breaking ball, where you feel like you're hitting in every inning. You're like, I don't want to hit this inning. I'm already over. I don't want to get another one.
Yeah, he was 0 for 3 in the first 3 innings.
Now, if you're 3 for 3, you're like, hey, let's go.
Boy, Loop's got a good fastball. You mentioned that. And there's a little extra hop in his fastball last couple of outings.
Probably ask him to finish off last inning and give him this inning right here.
Minnesota has a 5-2 lead as they bat here in the 5th. Dozier called out on strikes. Dozier strikes out for a 3rd time this afternoon. Loop has 4 strikeouts. All 4 outs have been strikeouts for Aaron Loop. He came in and closed out the 5th and strikes out the side here in the 5th inning. Check out WestJet's low fares from Canada to London Gatwick at WestJet.com or call your travel agent. A lot of fans in that WestJet flight deck having a good time on this Sunday afternoon. Now time for the schedule ahead, brought to you by WestJet. The Red Sox are here for 3 starting tomorrow night. Drew Pomeranz, Chris Sale, and Rick Porcello, the scheduled pitchers for Boston. Then Blue Jays will go to Baltimore for 4 and then go right back to Boston, Fenway Park.
We haven't played the Red Sox that much this year. We've only been to Boston 1 time.
Yeah, 2 more trips into Boston for the Blue Jays before the season is over. And the Blue Jays may be catching the Red Sox at the right time. They have lost 3 in a row.
And they're losing again today to Baltimore.
Ezekiel Carrera grounded into a double play his last time up. Pulls this one on the ground. Dozier's there at second, goes to a knee and throws out Carrera. So 1 out. Josh Donaldson is 0 for 1 with a walk. Donaldson led off the 3rd with a walk, then got picked off by Kyle Gibson. Pat Dermody now starting to loosen up. He was up early in the ball game. He got up in the 3rd inning, and then Luke came in to close out the 4th inning. Luke had a good inning in the 5th with 3 strikeouts.
It's probably his afternoon. Probably done. They like to use him to finish an inning and then give him 1 more when the starter gets out early. It'll be the bullpen to try and hold it right there and let the offense catch up.
Donaldson went after that high strike loop, hitting in the third with 4 strikeouts. Gave up a leadoff single to Kenny Vargas, and Kenny Vargas then was stranded at first. One and two to Donaldson. Josh had a 3-hit game yesterday. Had a bunt single, a 2-run homer, and an RBI double.
Mr. Extra Base Machine. That's his 55th extra base. Excuse me, 2 extra base hit games since 2013. 55 times.
55 multi extra base hits. That's tied with Mike Trout for the 3rd most in the majors over that time frame. Line to the third baseman, and Escobar caught it, knocked it down, and then picked it up and throws to first to throw out Donaldson.
I'll tell you what, Josh is on everything. You mentioned the extra base hits. He looks like he's going to hit the ball hard every single time up, and he had a rocket right at Escobar, and I think he burned his hand on that one. Escobar at third base, smothers it, and then finishes it off over at first base. But Josh was all over that one.
You can see him still shaking off his hand. He got it hit in the palm of his hand with that hot shot. Couldn't catch it in the webbing of his glove. Ringer Rain handcuffed the third baseman. 2 outs. Justin Smoke's the batter. Fifth inning. The Twins are trying to win a series here at Rogers Center for just the 2nd time in the last 11 seasons. They have not played well here in this ballpark.
Blue Jays have battered them. Scored a lot of runs against them here. Broke that 7-game losing streak the Twins did on Friday. Right here at Rogers Center.
Two balls and a strike to Justin Smoke. The Red Sox, as Pat mentioned, trailing the Baltimore Orioles 2-0 there in the bottom of the 5th at Fenway. Wade Miley has been throwing the ball fairly well lately. Blue Jays will see him over the weekend. Blue Jays play a 4-game series in Baltimore starting Thursday.
How about Kevin Gausman yesterday? Totally handcuffing the Red Sox. Blue Jays will see him also in Baltimore.
Baltimore has really scored a lot of runs lately. Gausman went 7 2/3, shutting out the Red Sox on 4 hits. He walked 3 and struck out 5. But the offense for Baltimore. How about Tim Beckham, what he has done? He hit his 18th home run yesterday. Smoke hits it sharply, but Dozier is in the outfield to make the play. Throws to first, and that's the inning. 3 up, 3 down. Kyle Gibson retires the side in order for the first time this afternoon.
Don't miss your Toronto Blue Jays as they take on their division rival Boston Red Sox. That's Monday, August 28th to Wednesday, August 30th. For more information as well as tickets, go to bluejays.com.
Thank you very much, Sean. And the Red Sox will be here. That'll wrap up this homestand. And the Blue Jays will hit the road. They'll go to Baltimore for 4 and right back to Boston. Take on the Red Sox at Fenway Park. Blue Jays trail 5-2. I think Joe Mauer's skipping spots in the lineup.
It seems like he's up every inning, doesn't it? Well, he's going to get a new pitcher this time. Matt Dermody for the 9th time this season. Dermody last pitched 5 days ago down in Tampa in an inning and a third. He got up a hit and an unearned run against the Tampa Bay Rays. He's been throwing the ball much better. His fastball's been better. His slider's been a lot better. His career high in innings is 3. Did that against the Angels earlier this year. They'd love to see that from him this afternoon.
Throw up some zeros and keep running them out there. Not mentioned, T.J. House was sent back to AAA Buffalo for Joe Biagini's activation on this roster.
So they don't really have a, quote, long man who can give you 3-4 innings after the starter was knocked out early. So maybe Matt Dermody can give you 2, and if they're easy, maybe stretch him out for another one. Give the bullpen a little bit of a blow if he's thrown up zeros before that big series against Boston starting tomorrow.
Dermody making his first appearance against Minnesota. And he throws Bauer a slider down and away. It's 1-2 on the first baseman for the Twins. Bauer has 2 hits today. He's got 8 hits in the 3-game series.
You know, that's all right to throw him a slider with 2 strikes. Just don't throw it for a strike. He's just too good of a hitter.
And he won't chase. Bauer is a career .307 hitter. This is his 14th season in the big leagues, all with the Twins. Smoke takes the chopper and will flip to Dermody, and Bauer's retired. Bauer's 2 for 4.
Canada's favorite car cheers for Canada's favorite team, Honda. Proud fan since 1977 and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Beautiful afternoon, and the weather has been spectacular here in southern Ontario. It's a cool afternoon, not much of a breeze blowing. Dermody throws one down and into Polanco. Polanco, the shortstop's had a good series. He has 6 hits in the 3 games. He is 6 for 12 with 4 doubles.
Switch hitter. Showing off some power too. He's given him 52 runs coming into this game. He hasn't faced Dermody, and it shows on that check swing on the slider.
Anticipating he was going to get a fastball. It's a high pop up. This is playable. Long run for Pierce. He makes the catch in fair territory. Dermody retires the first 2 here in the top half of the 6th.
You know, as a hitter, that's nothing wrong if you're just going to go up there and guess. Sometimes when you're facing a guy for the first time, you can guess in 1-0 counts, fastball if you want. You just look bad sometimes on those check swings when you do see a slider. He's got a good arm. I think the Blue Jays should see what they have in Matt Dermody. He's coming on as a young major league reliever.
2-pitch pitcher, fastball, slider, but that's enough to be effective pitching out of the bullpen.
And if you throw strikes, you know, if you're a two-pitch pitcher and you can't throw strikes, it's almost like you have nothing to get anybody out. But he's throwing strikes.
Yeah, and when you throw strikes with your fastball, hitters have a tendency to start their swing, and then they look bad on that slider. Eddie Rosario, the left fielder, he is 1 for 3.
Matt got into 5 games last year for the Blue Jays, all in September. Came up for a spot appearance this year in April, and the Baltimore Orioles were very rude to him. Third of an inning, they hit 3 home runs against Germany, back down to the minor leagues. But since he has come back up and down a couple of times since the end of July, he's looked better. That slider's been better, and he's been able to paint with it.
There's a good fastball just on the outside corner. Runs the count to full. Yeah, you mentioned that one outing. He just got 1/3 of an inning and gave up 4 runs on 5 hits and 3 home runs. And that was a rough inning for him, his first inning of the season. Craig Gentry hit a home run off of him. Manny Machado hit a home run off of him. And Trey Mancini homered off him.
But you know he learned from that. He went back down to the minor league and said, okay, hey, I got to polish some things up and make some better pitches. Maybe change speeds if I have to and work on that slider. He's come back. He's done a good job.
Full count, 2 outs. Threw him a good slider. Dermody with a good inning of work. He strikes out Rosario to end the top half of the 6th. Dermody has shown a very good slider. Left-handers haven't looked too comfortable batting against Matt. Eddie Rosario strikes out on a wicked breaking ball down and away. Blue Jays need a rally. Pierce, Morales, and Montero when we come back. Is the manager of the Minnesota Twins, and it's easy to remember he was a great player. 3 seasons with the Blue Jays. He hit .315 over those 3 seasons. Had an on-base percentage of .387. MVP in the World Series when he went 12 for 24 in that World Series. And he just did so many things. He was the MVP. Pat, you got to see him firsthand, and what a terrific player he was.
Clutch player also. When you needed a base hit in a clutch situation, Paulie was right there to drive it in or do something to help the team win. It was a perfect match when they brought him in here in '93. The team won in '92. They let a lot of the good players go. Dave Winfield was only here that 1 year. Who took his place? Paul Molitor. A different type of player. Hit the ball all over the ballpark, steal some bases, play different positions. And I'm glad the Blue Jays were able to get him a World Series ring.
211 hits that first season with the Blue Jays. He had 725 plate appearances. He finished second in the MVP voting and won a Silver Slugger Award.
Drove in his second highest total that year of his career for one season. Drove in 111 runs.
Steve Pearce with a 2-2 count. Pearce trying to get something going here in the sixth. Pearce is 0 for 2 so far. Full count. Blue Jays bullpen, Loop and Dermody, they put up a couple of zeros. Now it's time for the hitters to mount a comeback.
Starting to zero in just a little bit more on Kyle Gibson. Gibson got 3 ground ball outs last inning.
Kendrys Morales is on deck. Ground ball up the middle. Blanco makes a nice play to throw Pearce out. 1 away.
Well, guys, just following up more on Paul Molitor, I got a chance to speak with him earlier in the day, and I asked him what's kind of the biggest memory, the most fond memory you have coming back to this building. And he said, without even thinking, it has to be the home plate celebration. That'll be something that always sticks out in his mind. I also asked him, what kind of an honor is it to be named one of the top 40 Blue Jays? We know now he is in the top 20. He said it just really means a lot to him. His time wasn't long here, but he really loved how Toronto and the whole city of Canada really embraced him.
Well, he was a terrific part of a great era with the Blue Jays, and that 40 and 40 show will take place right after this ball game, so make sure you check it out and see where Paul Molitor ends up in the list.
He was talking about the home plate celebration of Joe Carter, who had the home run to win the World Series in '93. I wonder if he had a chance to ask him how tired he was after that celebration, because I'll tell you what, you start jumping around with guys and you're piling on them and all that kind of stuff, you can get winded. You can get tired very easily.
At that time, I'm sure adrenaline carried you all through most of that stuff.
That's exactly right. Paulie hit 22 home runs that year in 1993.
Finished second in the MVP voting to Frank Thomas. Morales fouls it off. Molitor, Hall of Famer, of course, and he is one of 7 players with 3,000 hits and 500 stolen bases. And it's a smaller group. He's one of 5 players with 300 hits, 500 stolen bases, and a 300 career batting average. Only 5 players.
3,000 hits.
3,000 hits, of course. There's a slider for a strikeout, and Kyle Gibson has retired. First 2 here in the 6th.
3,000 hits and 500 stolen bases. I gotta figure Willie Mays is on that list.
The list is.
That's a lot of stolen bases.
Yeah, he went into the Hall of Fame in 2004.
I know Joe Morgan's got 500 stolen bases, but I don't think he has 3,000 hits. Ricky Henderson should be on that list. 3,000 hits, 500 stolen bases.
Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, Eddie Collins, Lou Brock, Ricky Henderson, and Ichiro had 3,000 hits and 500 stolen bases. And then the other list: Ty Cobb, Eddie Collins, Honus Wagner, and Ichiro Suzuki. 3,000 hits, 500 stolen bases, and a 300 career batting
average. Wow.
Miguel Montero has doubled and scored, and he's also flied out. Kyle Gibson has retired 7 in a row. He's done a nice job of mixing up his pitches. Each time it seems as though he attacks the hitters with a different pitch.
Saw some change-ups early for Josh Donaldson. And then we've seen some sliders. That good sinking fastball. Yeah, a little bit of everything.
And you can see Montero not really sure what he's going to get.
In between right there, and ends up a fastball right down the middle. Now the Twins are going to shift with 2 strikes. That is Escobar taking his spot right around second base.
Montero thought it was high, but again, now Gibson retires the side in order with a couple of strikeouts. He's struck out 6. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Any accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. The Twins have a 5-2 lead. Nori Aoki hit a home run with 1 out in the 4th inning, his 5th home run of the season. Blue Jay fans are hopeful of Blue Jays comeback here as we start the 7th. Matt Dermody retired to sign an order in the 6th. He'll work to Byron Buxton to start things off. Buxton has driven in 3 of the 5 Twins runs this afternoon. He is 2 for 3 with a home run. He had a 2-run home run off Joe Biagini in the 4th and then knocked the starter out of the game.
So we have seen him steal a couple of bases this series. We have seen him make some great catches in the outfield. He's driven in some runs. Look at that line right there. A little bit of everything today for Buxton. Had a chance to visit with him, and he credits Paul Molitor a lot. Gives Molitor a lot of credit for who he is at the big league level. Says he just lets him play and tries to teach as much as possible Molitor that he can.
It's really worked for him in the second half of the season. Prior to the All-Star break, he played in 83 games, had 5 homers and 16 RBIs. But since the All-Star break, in just 28 games, he has topped his season output in home runs. He's got 6, and he's also topped his RBI production with 19 in the second half.
Here's a little thing that Molitor talked to him after Friday's game.
That ball's got a chance to go. This ball's into the second deck. Byron Buxton with his 2nd home run of the afternoon. He's reached base all 4 times he's come to the plate.
He was saying little things that Molitor is teaching him, like 1st and 3rd the other day. He had a steal. He didn't look in to see where the ball was. So those little things that Molitor is teaching his young players, it is really working. What a swing. 2nd home run today from Buck. Another breaking ball. That's what he hit off of Joe Biagini, hanging breaking ball. That's a hanging slider that stays out over the plates. He's driven in 3.
He hit that 1-2 slider out of the ballpark. It's his first multi-home run game of his career. And I can tell you, there's going to be a few more before he's done. And you got to love his nickname. But Paul Molitor is really passing along some great skill tips to his young players. And boy, that was a quick snatch swing right there.
All hands. Molly was saying, you know, we've taken away his leg kick that he had earlier this year. We've spread him out just a little bit more, just so there's not a lot of movement and just so he can have a chance to hit.
He said that leg kick was a timing that allowed him to hit 1 pitch, the fastball. So now he's grounded. He doesn't have that leg up in the air, and he uses his hands and trusts his hands to get to the ball.
And he's hit 2 breaking balls for home runs.
This is going to be out of play. Max Kepler. Kepler has walked twice and struck out. Future is bright for this Twins ball club. Think about where they are in their careers. They're just getting their feet on the ground. Younger guys just getting a chance to play on an everyday basis. Kepler is just 24 years old. And there's a good slider down and away.
This 4K broadcast is brought to you by Samsung QLED TV. Experience Canada's team in all the colors of the game with the next innovation in TV.
Sunday afternoon, a lot of fans have made their way in multiple transportation methods. Kenny Vargas, today he's the DH. Yesterday he was the first baseman. He's driven in a pair of runs. He had a 2-run single in the 3rd. Dermody comes right back after giving up the home run, and he strikes out Kepler, and he's ahead of Vargas 0-2 quickly.
That's what you want to do. Come right back and make quality pitches. Have a short memory.
Yeah, you cannot be intimidated into dancing around the strike zone, and that's not going to work for anybody.
Well, what's going to happen if you keep thinking about the one you just gave up? You're going to end up giving up another one. But Dermody comes right back and gets another strikeout.
Strikes out the switch hitter, Vargas. Good slider. Down and in. 3 strikeouts for Dermody now.
Well, he's throwing it in a good spot, down. We were talking about that earlier. You throw a 2-strike slider in American League to a good hitter, 2-strike breaking ball, they're going to hit it. That time he expands to get the out.
Another good slider there to Escobar, to the third baseman. Aaron Loop had 4 strikeouts in an inning and a third, and Dermody has 3 strikeouts in an inning and 2/3, 3 strikeouts. Baltimore still leading Boston 2-0 at Fenway. They're in the bottom of the 6th. The Yankees are leading the Mariners 7-1. They're in the bottom of the 6th as well in New York. And Tampa Bay leads the Cardinals 1-0 in St. Louis. They're in the top of the 5th. Chris Archer on the mound for Tampa Bay.
Tampa had a heartbreaker yesterday. Walked off.
Archer has allowed just 2 hits, hasn't walked a batter over 4 innings. We saw Archer down in Tampa Bay getting ready for this start on Sunday here, and he was riding the stationary bike outside in the humidity of St. Petersburg.
And we asked him, what are you doing out here? He says, my next start is outside. I want to get used to the heat and humidity. I'm going to make a start in St. Louis. So he knew how hot it was going to be, so he didn't want to artificially work out indoors in the air conditioning. He wanted to get a game feel outside, and boy, was he ever sweating.
It was 83 degrees there last night, and you can bet it's hotter here there this afternoon. So pretty insightful move by Archer. Germany with a full count to Escobar, the third baseman. The catcher Jimenez is on deck. Minnesota has scored a run here. Byron Buxton with his 2nd home run of the afternoon. 3-2. Another foul back. Giancarlo Stanton has hit his 50th home run.
No way.
He's the first National League player to hit 50 home runs since Prince Fielder reached that mark in 2007. 50 home runs. There are some big home run numbers. He's got 50 home runs, plus he has 17 home runs for the month. And that's interesting because that matches a whole bunch of Hall of Famers for home runs in a single month. 3-2. Pulled foul. The all-time home run total for a single month. Sammy Sosa in June of '98 hit 20 home runs. Rudy York of the Tigers in August of 1937 hit 18. And then there's a group of Hall of Famers that have hit 17 in a particular month, and now Giancarlo Stanton has matched those. That's off Goins' glove. A hot shot into left field. Good at bat for Escobar. He fouled off several tough pitches and works Dermody for a 2-out single. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Thank you very much, Jamie. And the Marlins, they're kind of coming on a little bit, riding that hot bat. They're are the leaders for home runs in the month of August. Stanton up to 17 with that home run today. Donaldson has 12. Sanchez of the Yankees with 11. And Justin Upton has had a good month as well.
Quietly, 11 home runs for Upton this month. You mentioned Miami. They're now 65 and 63. 4.5 games out of the wild card.
Now, they are behind Milwaukee by a game. Arizona and Colorado, they have the first 2 wild card spots in the National League. Then Milwaukee's 3.5 back, and Miami's 4.5 back. Dominic Leone begins to loosen up for the Blue Jays. Miami's won 3 in a row in 8 of their last 10. That's going to be foul.
What's crazy about all that, Buck, is it's almost like these teams start to sell off and they get hot. And all of a sudden they're back into it with the wild card.
Texas Rangers traded off Yu Darvish. He is now on a deal with the Dodgers. Jaime Garcia in 4 starts after being traded from Minnesota. 4 starts with the Yankees. He's got an ERA almost 6.
And Minnesota got hot after they traded him. After they traded their closer, too.
Brandon Kinsler has made 12 appearances in August pitching for the Nationals. That ties his 1-month total for the season while pitching for Minnesota. And we got a few days left here in August. One to Jimenez upstairs. The AL wild card race, the Yankees have a lead over Seattle, and Minnesota has a half-game cushion over the Angels and the Mariners. Kansas City, they have really been handled by the Indians, and Cleveland has a 12-0 lead over the Royals today in Cleveland.
One good week. You know, that's all it takes to get back into it, where you win 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7, whatever it is, and all of a sudden, bam, in the American League, you're right back in the wild card race. You got a shot.
The Angels, of course, lost Mike Trout for 39 games, and they were 19 and 20 while he was out of the lineup. And they're just a half game back. Jimenez strikes out. Dermody gives up a leadoff home run, but racks up 3 strikeouts in the 7th inning. Minnesota has expanded their lead 6-2 over the Jays.
Shop at the Rogers Centre in CF Toronto, Eaton Centre, the official team shops for your Toronto Blue Jays. Authentic alternate red cap and jersey available now. Get yours today at select Jays Shop locations or at jaysshop.ca. For more information, call 1-877-JAYS-SHOP.
Lots of shoppers in the Jays shop here at Rogers Centre, and it was a great giveaway day. They gave away those back-to-school bags for the kids, and a lot of kids, some of them camera shy here at Rogers Centre. Nori Aoki will lead things off. He's had a good start to his day. He has an RBI single and a solo home run. He is now 6 for 13 against Kyle Gibson. Aoki, this is his 12th game playing for the Blue Jays. He has 30 at-bats. He's hit 3 home runs. In 202 at-bats while playing in Houston, he had 2 home runs. Showing off his power since he's put the Blue Jays uniform on.
Well, let's show you that home run. With 1 out in the 4th, takes this high fastball from Kyle Gibson. That's way back over the bullpens in right field. He can get down into that home run trot. That's his 5th of the season.
5 home runs for Aoki. His career high 10 came in his first big league season in 2012. Trevor Hildenberger loosening up for Minnesota. Aoki lays off that breaking ball.
You know what Gibson has done well today is he's really stayed back over the rubber nicely. Hasn't rushed anything. He has stayed back, and I think that has really let that whole body work together, lower half and the upper half. His breaking ball's been really good today.
Wanted that fastball up, they missed down, and Aoki fouls it off. We talked to Troy Hawkins at the start of the day down on the field, asking him about Kyle Gibson. He said if he can locate his fastball and throw it for strikes, everything else plays very well. There is Hawkins with Nick Bremer in the TV booth for the Minnesota Twins. Aoki has another hit. He likes what he sees from Kyle Gibson. That's his 3rd hit of the afternoon, his 7th career hit against Gibson.
Well, he saw the off-speed pitch from Gibson. He's thrown breaking balls, fastballs. Now he's going to throw him a changeup, and watch how he stays back. Just throws the barrel of the bat at the baseball. Half swing. That's how you cover the plate and cover off-speed pitches. The changeup. He was fooled, but he just stayed right with it. Serves it into center field.
Aoki 3 for 3. A couple of singles and a home run. Ryan Goins is 1 for 2. Blue Jays with 7 hits. Montero, Aoki, and Goins have 5 of those 7 hits.
Bottom of the lineup has really done some damage today. Got to keep it going. Get back to the top of the lineup with some runners on base, and the Blue Jays will get back in it.
Upstairs, that last pitch, Gibson's 101st pitch of the afternoon. Most pitches he's thrown this season, 107. Down in Houston against the Astros on the 16th of July. So he's getting close to the end of his day.
Yeah, he's given them, last time out, he gave him 7 innings, but that was against the White Sox. Had 8 strikeouts, which was a season high against Chicago. And you know Paul Molitor would love for him to give him 7 innings today. But if he loses another batter, that might be it.
Well, the Twins have an off day tomorrow, so they have a little bit of leeway as far as how they use this bullpen. Minnesota will welcome in the White Sox starting Tuesday night for a 3-game series. And then they have the Kansas City Royals over the weekend, September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, before they go out on the road, play Tampa Bay and Kansas City, a 7-game 2-city road trip.
Playing some teams that their records, you know, they got a chance to get back and do some damage.
Mentioned the White Sox, then the Royals, Tampa Bay, the Royals again, then the Padres.
San Diego, that's right.
San Diego in Minnesota the 12th, 13th, and 14th of September. And then Blue Jays are right on the heels.
And they're going to play Detroit 7 of the last 10 games of the season. A chance to do some damage at the end. Fastball, sinker. Here's the fastball that LaTroy was talking about. If he can command that 94-mile-an-hour fastball, he's going to have a good day.
Look at all the charts in that dugout for a monitor to reference during the course of a game. Lefty-righty matchups, pitcher matchups. Trying to get the advantage he can with his bullpen matchups. Paul, by his own admission, is an old school manager. He likes to go by feel, by what he sees on the field, but he says, you know what, I'm learning how to take the information, and I've got people that can give me that information and suggest to me how it might impact us and help us win a game.
But the most important thing is, what do you see out on the field? Your charts might say he's pulling this guy, but you might see the bat's a little bit slower that day, so you don't play him to pull as much.
Darwin Barney, he's over 2. Barney struck out against Gibson in the 4th. You know, Molitor came up, his first season was 1978 with the Milwaukee Brewers, and he was surrounded by Larry Heisel and Sal Bando and Don Money and Cecil Cooper. A lot of great ball players that passed on their information to him and passed on their experience. And then, of course, he became a great leader middle of his career. And he and Robin Yount and Jim Gantner played 15 seasons together. How about that? When you think about it, when you have Hall of Famers on the same team, and Yount and Molitor are both in the Hall of Fame, and then to see the Blue Jays teams with Molitor and the Hall of Famers on the field at the same time.
I was thinking about that the other day. The 93 team that Molitor played on, they had 3 Hall of Famers in their starting lineup. Ricky Henderson, Roberto Alomar, Paul Molitor. And if that wasn't enough, Bob White, John Oliver, Joe Carter. Should I keep going?
It's really interesting, and you're right. I don't know how many teams. I'm sure you go back to the Yankees, the great days, and how many teams would have 3 Hall of Famers on the starting lineup.
The only one that comes to mind for me was the Big Red Machine. Now, I could sit here and probably think of some more. They had 3 Hall of Famers, 4 if you want to count Pete Rose, who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Fly ball to deep right field, but Buxton calls for it, makes the catch, and Aoki has to retreat back to first. Molitor has come out of the dugout. He's called for a pitching change. Barney flies out to center field. Now Carrera's scheduled to face Gibson for a 4th time, and Molitor's going to change it up a bit. So Kyle Gibson, with a very good outing here today, leaves with a 6-2 lead. He holds the Blue Jays to 2 runs on 7 hits. Trevor Hildenberger comes on to make this pitching change. He'll face the top of the order, Ezekiel Carrera. When we come back, the Blue Jays trail by 4. New pitcher into the ball game for the Twins, Trevor Hildenberger, his 24th appearance, and Hildenberger pitched on Friday night in the 8th inning.
Third game of the series against the Twins. Third time that we have seen Hildenberger. He hasn't thrown a complete inning. Paul Molitor likes to bring him in these situations and finish off innings. Tough on lefties with that changeup.
So he gets Ezekiel Carrera with Aoki at first. Hildenberger came into the ballgame and struck out Morales and Pilar, the only two batters he faced. That was in the 8th inning of yesterday's game.
Got that tough arm action for the left-handers. They're just hitting over 200 against them this year. Here's the change.
Kyle Gibson with a very strong outing here this afternoon. Pitches the Twins into the 7th inning. Inside, 2 balls and a strike. Gibson walked 1 and struck out 7 for 108 pitches. Off the end of the bat, another changeup. Polanco on the first base side of the bag makes the play. Carrera's retired, and that's the inning. Good job by Hildenberger coming in to pick up Kyle Gibson, who's in line for the win.
Stream your favorite sports with Sportsnet now. All you need is the internet. Live stream every Blue Jays game, MLB matchups, plus get your news 24/7 with Sportsnet Central. To sign up and get 7 days free, visit snnow.ca.
Thank you very much, Sean. And we have another good crowd on hand. We've got a pitching change. The third reliever of the afternoon for the Blue Jays will be Dominic Leone.
Second time that Dominic has worked in this series. His last 2 outings have been scoreless, so he's dropped that ERA down to 2.59. He's also undefeated, 3-0 this season. 53rd game. His career high is 57 games. He did that back in 2014. He also has 66 strikeouts, getting close to his career high of 70s. He has struck out 5 batters in his last 2 outings. Good fastball, good slider lately. And he gets Brian Dozier, who hasn't had a fun day today.
Dozier has struck out 3 times. Overall, he's 0 for 4. So he takes a strike, shows bunt. Maybe wanting to take a look at that ball a little bit closer.
Yeah, pretty nasty slider right there for strike 1.
Another slider. This one's a ball. 1-1. He called it a strike.
Well, he called it a swing.
Okay.
It was a check swing from Dozier, and he said he went around.
0-2. Nothing like a fun day at the ballpark, having a little snack, enjoying the great weather. Only thing wrong with this day is the home team's losing.
I used to love those things when I was a kid.
Dozier checks his swing. Dozier with 3 strikeouts. He's had 1 4-strikeout game this season. This time he's going to get a single. So he snaps the offer with a sharp single to left to lead off the 8th. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. What a story Rhys Hoskins has been for Philadelphia since coming up. He's naturally a first baseman. They've played him in left field and now back in the infield. But a 5th-round pick by the Phillies in 2014. He's 24 years old. Going into the game today, 10 home runs in 60 at-bats.
17 games, right? 17 games, the fastest 10 home runs in Major League history. Baseball getting another good young player coming up. I mean, it's ridiculous how many good young players that we have seen come up in the last few seasons.
Yeah, and it's all different kinds of organizations have developed different players all over the place. And Hoskins last year hit 38 home runs in Double-A Reading for the Phillies. This year in Lehigh Valley, he hit 29 in Triple-A before being promoted to the Phillies. He's got 39 home runs on the season.
No other rookie in Major League history has ever hit at least 1 homer 7 times in a span of 18 games. 8 team games. 7 homers in 8 games.
Yeah, he's really done a nice job. And you know what they were talking about? Well, Reading's Double-A ballpark, the bandbox, real small ballpark. He's making Citizens Bank Park look like a bandbox. This is Joe Mauer. And Mauer can't believe that. He has called out on strikes.
That slider caught a lot of the plate right there for Mauer. He can't believe it. That was a good pitch. I think with room to spare too. Slider. That's breaking right there.
Yeah, that's all over the strike zone. You can see how much of the plate it gets. 1 out. Twins lead at 6-2. Dozier, he's trying to work for a lead against Leon, and Leon's going to keep him close.
6-2 is nothing in the American League. I think you guys just got to keep scoring runs.
Blue Jays scored 6 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning in yesterday's game.
He's trying to get a gauge of what Dominic Leone has in terms of moves over to first base and moves to home, and what Dominic is doing is he's varying his times to home, doing a good job of holding on to the ball just a little bit longer. You can see him trying to get a start, but he doesn't have a good jump yet.
Jorge Polanco, the shortstop, 2 for 4, pair of doubles. Leon's working over Dozier at first. Dozier has 13 steals, but he's been caught 6 times.
He's going to go. I don't know if he's going to go on this pitch, but he's going to go at this at bats.
There he goes. Fouled out of play. Had a good jump that time. Yeah, you could see he's just working for the timing over there against Leon. Montero's had a tough season throwing out base runners. Since he's come to the Blue Jays, he's caught 3 of 18 and had a base stolen in the first inning. Byron Buxton picked up his 24th stolen base.
Well, you can see Montero telling him, hey, hold the ball. Hold the ball this time. Let's see what Dozier does.
Not running here, and it was a delayed steal, and the throw is not in time as Polanco strikes out, and Dozier pulled off the delayed steal perfectly. He didn't run when Leon broke, and he bounced off twice before he took off for second.
Perfect time for that. Watch him. This is called the delay steal. 1, 2, and then you go, and everybody kind of drops their head. You don't hear that initial, there he goes from the first baseman or the bench. So everybody freezes just for a second, and you steal it easily.
Yeah, you can see the catcher Montero was caught flat-footed by the time he made the throw. It was much too late. 14th steal for Dozier this season. But there are 2 outs now. Eddie Rosario, he's had a hit in 4 at-bats. The Blue Jays have racked up the strikeouts today. The starter Joe Biagini had 4 strikeouts in 3 2/3. Aaron Loup struck out everybody he faced in an inning and 3rd. He had 4 strikeouts. Dermody had 4 strikeouts in 2 innings, and now Leon has 2 strikeouts.
The last time they put the ball in play for an out was in the 6th inning. Fly ball.
Ground ball. Barney to his right, and that'll do it. So Leon strands a runner in scoring position. He gives up a single and nothing more. We're going to the bottom of the 8th. Now time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell with Kevin Marker from the Samsung Broadcast Studio.
Enter Sonnet's Get in the Action contest for a chance to win the ultimate Blue Jays fan weekend. To enter, go to bluejays.com/Sonnet contest. Buck.
Thank you very much, Sean. And another good crowd on hand as the Blue Jays have been supported very consistently by their loyal fans. They've averaged over 40,000 a game here at home this season. Blue Jays trail by 4, need to get something going, and they're running out of time. It'll be Donaldson, Smoke, and Pierce. for the Blue Jays here in the 8th. Trevor Hildenberger working for the 3rd straight game in this series.
Solid command guy, even though he's got those funky pitching arm locations. He can drop down, throws 3/4, but he gets it in the strike zone pretty consistently.
Hildenberger came on to close out the bottom of the 7th. He got Carrera to ground out.
There's that off-speed pitch at 72 miles an hour. He's only walked 4 batters this season.
Way outside as it's past the catcher Jimenez all the way to the backstop. 2-2. The Jays need some base runners. Donaldson walked in the 3rd inning. He's 0 for 2. Waits back, hits the 2-hopper to 3rd. Escobar throws out Donaldson, 1 away.
Hit a home run with any project this season. Home Hardware, proud sponsor of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Sunday afternoon, the Red Sox will be here tomorrow night. Boston will send Drew Pomeranz to the mound in the opener against Marcus Stroman. Stroman looking for his 12th win of the season. He is 11-6 with a very good .317 earned run average. Pomeranz has had a good season. He's 13-4 with a .318 earned run average. Chris Sale in game 2, Rick Porcello in game 3. Blue Jays haven't announced their starting pitchers
For Tuesday and Wednesday, we might see a different starter than we have seen this season on Tuesday. And they're also going to be facing a Chris Sale, who's not going to be real happy with his last performance. He got beat up pretty hard by the Cleveland Indians. Just, I think, 3, maybe even 4 innings against the Indians. So he's going to come in here fresh and ready to make up for that last start.
Yeah, that's just exactly what you need, an angry Chris Sale. Taylor Rogers, one of 2 lefties they have down in their bullpen. Sale, the last time out, he took the loss in an 13-6 Indians win. He lasted just 3 innings, charged with 6 earned runs on 7 hits.
How many innings did he last?
3.
3. Yeesh.
He only threw 67 pitches. That was on Thursday. So he's going to be well rested.
Yeah. That's not good news ever. Tim Meza has picked up the baseball. He's getting loose.
Justin Smoke with a 2-2 count. Smokey has one of the Blue Jays hits. Breaking ball hit in the air. Not that deep. Buxton coming in now. The center fielder gets there, and Smoke's retired.
Hildenberger doing a good job of getting those Blue Jays out in front on that 76-mile-an-hour changeup. He's throwing a couple of them. And with that, Paul Molitor is out of the dugout.
Mentioned we had Taylor Rogers, the lefty, loosening up down in their bullpen, and interesting, he's going to bring the left-hander in. Steve Pierce, a right-handed hitter, getting some updates from the hitting coach, Brooke Jacoby. So lefty is in. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th, and the Twins lead it 6-2. Minnesota's Kyle Gibson throws a season-high 108 pitches over his 6 2/3. He holds the Blue Jays just 7 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. Good outing for Gibson this afternoon.
Yeah, in line for his 8th win of the season. If the bullpen can hold it, this is the 2nd reliever for Paul Molitor. Taylor Rogers, we saw him on Friday. Not really overpowering is Rogers. He gets a lot of movement on that fastball, throws lots of strikes. 56 games now the left-hander has worked in this season.
Rogers recorded 2 outs on Friday in the 8th inning. Gave up a hit, had a walk, and then he left the ball game. Steve Pearce 0 for 3. And he's 0 for 4. He lined it right to the third baseman, Escobar. Rogers comes in and gets the out to end the inning. We'll go to the 9th. Minnesota trying to win the series here in Toronto. Pearce right on this pitch. Lines it. Looks like it's headed for left field, but there's the third baseman, Escobar, to end the inning. Drive of the game brought to you by the powerful all-new 2017 Civic Type R.
The most home runs that Byron Buxton hit in the minor leagues was 11. That was last season. He hit 10 more in the big leagues. That was his previous career high. Well, today, this is 11 and 12 for the season for Buxton, and I think he is just getting started. 2 drives off a couple of breaking balls for Buxton. This afternoon drives of the game. Good-looking ball player.
Good-looking young ball player and making some dramatic strides here in the second half of the season.
He hit 9 home runs in the month of September last year, and everybody thought that that was going to play over to this year. Well, it's starting to now at the end of August. Tim Mayza into the ball game. Tim's 6th game of the season. That's 6 1/3 innings.
There's another drive, and this one's going to go into the ballpark. Byron Buxton, a 3-homer day, and that was a low liner on the first pitch from Tim Mayza. He is 4 for 5.
Tell you, let's see, he's hit a curveball for a home run, slow curveball. He's hit a slider for a home run today. And now he has hit, it looked like a fastball for Mayza. 3 home runs off of 3 different pitches from 3 different pitchers. Fastball down and in, that's number 13.
What a swing. Very quick to the ball, and what a day. A 4-hit day, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, and he has really turned things around here in the second half.
He was on base, if you remember, on Friday 3 times with a couple of bunt base hits. And then a solid single that drove in a run. That thing got out of here quick.
His first 4-hit game of his career.
He's not going to want to turn in those jerseys.
No.
He's going to want to wear those every day.
I think it's all in the nickname.
It is a nickname. Buck.
What a day. 4 for 5, 3 home runs. His career high in RBIs, 5. I mean, it's a career day indeed for Byron Buxton. To give you an idea just how talented this young man is, he had 2 bunt singles in the opener on Friday night. So he can do a little bit of everything. He's got speed. He can steal bases.
He has a stolen base today. The great catches that we saw here on Friday. Yeah, he might be the MVP of this series so far.
He had a stolen base on Friday night as well, and made that great catch off the bat of Rob Refsnyder in the 8th inning. A terrific, good-looking young player. Bartolo Colon, he appreciated the great effort. He was the winning pitcher on Friday night. Refsnyder hit that ball with 2 aboard in the 8th inning. It looked like it was going to drive in 2, but Buxton made a diving catch. Kepler strikes out. He strikes out for a 3rd time today. Want to remind you, coming up after this game, the Blue Jays will have a show titled 40 in 40, the best 40 players in Blue Jays franchise history over their 40 years of existence. Paul Molitor was part of that for sure. As the crew will break it all down for you and break down the top 40 Blue Jays players in those 40 years of Blue Jays baseball. Should be a very enjoyable show.
We've been talking about that all season long, it seems like, and I haven't asked you, who do you think is #1 in your book?
There's a line drive foul. For me, my top player in 40 years, I think, is Dave Steep. I think he was the most dominant in an era when the team wasn't that dominant. And had he been in his prime in 92 and 93, I think he would have won 25 games.
That's how good his stuff was. And I'm with you. I don't want to take anything away from anybody else. Some of the great seasons that we have had over the 40 years. But the Blue Jays' first star was Dave Steep.
Yeah, no question about it. He started all-star games. He was a terrific pitcher and flirted with no-hitters time and time again. 2-2 to Vargas, and there's another slider. Byron Buxton, with his 3 home run game today, is the first Twins player to have a 3-homer game against the Blue Jays. That's pretty impressive.
In 40 years.
In 40 years. Vargas is putting up a battle here against Kenny Vargas, against Tim Mason.
I want to finish off that about Dave Steep. So if you look at the pitching departments, he's #1 in ERA all time, wins, games started, complete games, shutouts, innings pitched, bases on balls, strikeouts. Need I keep saying more? All-star appearances.
Yeah, he was the best in my mind. He was the top player in franchise history, and you know, longevity, success, dominance. He was a consummate ace.
So we'll see how it all shakes out here in a little bit.
Carlos Delgado, Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion,
Robbie Alomar, Tony Fernandez.
Yeah, they're all going to be in the mix.
Joe Carter,
Jimmy Key.
He's in my top 10.
Yep.
George Bell, Shaker, Lloyd Mosby,
Eduardo Escobar, he fouls it off. So make sure you stay tuned for that and see how your top 40 matches up with the panel's top 40. They'll break it all down for you right after this ball game. One and two. Chase that ball in the dirt, and he strikes out. Mesa strikes out the side, but he gives up a home run. Byron Buxton, what a day for the young center fielder. 3 home runs in a 4-hit effort.
Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by award-winning Honda Marine. Great days on the water begin with Honda.
Sunday afternoon in Toronto, and the Twins trying to win their second series here at Rogers Center in the last 11 seasons. They have a 7-2 lead as the Blue Jays are set to bat in the 9th, and the Jays will face a new pitcher. This is their closer for the time being, Matt Belisle.
Yeah, first time that we have seen Belisle in this series. Their closer was Brandon Kinsler. He was traded. Belisle, a veteran's been around for a long time, so he's only 4 for 8 in save opportunities. He's basically sinker slider. He's been doing it a long time. Originally a second-round draft pick of the Atlanta Braves way back in 1998.
Kendrys Morales will lead things off for the Blue Jays. Morales is 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts, and there's a curveball for strike 1. Belisle's now 37 years old. He was signed by the Twins as a free agent in February. This is his 6th organization. He's been around the block.
Yeah, he was with the Reds. He's been with Colorado, St. Louis, Washington.
Last year he was with the Nationals. As you mentioned, he began his career in Atlanta in 1999, pitched there for 4 seasons.
He likes to work quickly, doesn't mess around, just goes right after you. His last outing was on the 22nd. That was at Chicago, an inning. Gave up a hit through 13 pitches. Before that, he threw 11 pitches. The time before that, 13 pitches.
Curveball. Belisle led the National League in appearances in 2012 while pitching for the Rockies. He appeared in 80 games through 80 innings. That's a heavy workload. The 4 saves he's racked up this season, that's a career high. It's always been kind of a middle inning guy once he moved from the rotation into the bullpen. He made 30 starts in 2007 while pitching with the Reds. A career high 177 2/3. So he's done just about everything you could do as a pitcher.
Yep, and he has become their closer now that Kinsler's been traded away. 4 saves in his last 5 opportunities. Just move the ball around. Fastball, slider, a little bit of curve every now and then.
Morales strikes out for a 3rd time. The fastball gets him here in the 9th.
It's just 91 miles an hour from Belial, but all that soft stuff early in the at-bat makes that fastball at 91 and up look like it's about 94, 95.
The Blue Jays pitchers have struck out 17 Twins this afternoon. That's the 2nd highest strikeout total racked up by the Twins hitters this year. They had 19 strikeouts earlier this month against the Cleveland Indians. But Byron Buxton, almost a one-man wrecking crew. He's driven in 5 of the 7 runs. Kenny Vargas drove in the other 2. Vargas had a 2-run single to the opposite field back in the 3rd. Talk about making a name for yourself earlier in your career with Buxton's 3 home run games. He joins the likes of Harmon Killebrew, Tony Oliva, and Justin Morneau as Twins that have had 3 home run games. Harmon Killebrew did it in 63 against the Red Sox. The great Tony Oliva did it in 73 against the Kansas City Royals, and I was there. And Justin Morneau did it against Washington in 07, and Byron Buxton's on a short list of big games.
He might have a few more of those types of games. I mean, he's just getting started.
Montero fouls off that breaking ball. Fastball upstairs. It's 2-2 to the Blue Jays catcher. Miguel had a double in the 2nd, came around to score. Nori Aoki is on deck, and he's had a big day at the plate. He's 3 for 3. RBI single and a solo home run. Fastball, and Montero strikes out. So Belial with 2 strikeouts.
Doing it very efficiently too. Meaning he's not overpowering, just placing that fastball and that breaking ball in good spots. He's allowed 2 earned runs in his last 19 appearances. And that is a well-placed fastball right there to finish off Montero. 50 appearances this season.
So Nori Aoki, 3 for 3 today. His 5th 3-hit game of the season. Aoki in his big league career has 6 4-hit games. Most recently, June 10th, 2015. Against the Mets, he went 4 for 5. This fly ball is going to do it. Aoki flies out to right field, and that ends the game. And the Minnesota Twins win the series 2-1. Today's day was all about Byron Buxton, the great young center fielder.
Was it ever? He scored 4 runs, hit 3 home runs, drove in 5, had a stolen base, did a little bit of everything. We saw a little bit of everything from Buxton over these 3 games. What a series for Buxton and the Twins. Blue Jays welcome the Boston Red Sox tomorrow.
Well, we appreciate you watching this afternoon. Paul Molitor's team will have an off day tomorrow before they play the White Sox on Tuesday. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night. Stay tuned. Sportsnet presents 40 and 40 coming up right now.